I'm going to go ahead and call us back into regular session at 7:05 p.m. We just concluded our items under closed session that are on our agenda that are all authorized to be discussed in a closed session. And from that, there are some items I'd like to report out of actions taken. The first one, the board took action to appoint Rachel N. Principal effective March 10th, 2021. That was on a motion from Mrs. Buck and a second from Mr. Youngblood, and that was passed on unanimous by roll vote. The second motion we had, another nice announcement. The board took action to appoint Christopher Hertzfeld as Valencia High School principal effective March 10th, 2021. That was on a motion of Mrs. Anderson and a second by Mrs. Blaze. And that also passed on a unanimous vote of 5-0. The third item, the board took action to appoint Dominic Polchow, Parkview Alternative Education Principal, effective July 1, 2021. That was on a motion by Mrs. Bucks, and also again a second by Mr. Youngblood. It passed 5-0. So, those are the things forthcoming from the folks. At this time, I would like to call upon board member Amy Hicks to do a pledge. Please stand for the pledge. To the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the roll call will indicate that all members are present, including student board member Jackson Hartman. And our first item following that is to approve the agenda for this evening. Do I have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for March 9th, 2021. I'll second. A motion from Mrs. Anderson and a second from Mrs. Blaze. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? It is passed unanimously, including our student board member. Okay, public comment. Public comment gives the audience the opportunity to come forth and address the board about items that may be of interest and concern to them. The board's bylaws do not allow the forms to be submitted, and the forms, by the way, look like this. You do need to fill out the public comment form. It's available here with Mrs. Newton and Mrs. Dandenhar. And I do need to have these filled in before we get to public comment, because it does, as I started to say, the bylaws of our board do not allow these forms to be submitted once we've gotten to public comment and we commence that section of our meeting. And the current practice that we have, since we are socially distanced and so forth, you remain in your seat or perhaps in the foyer if that's where you are presently. You do have to wear a mask. And Then, of course, practice social distancing. When it's your turn to come in and speak or come up to the podium. We allow 30 minutes for public comment. We usually allow 5 minutes per speaker and an additional 5 in your native language if you need translation. We have so far 31 speakers. We therefore will be reducing the time per speaker to 1 minute. So keep that in mind as you make your comments, please. Thank you.
Karen, I was wondering if maybe since we do have so many speakers and it's such a, the reason everybody's here is a really hot topic they really need to hear, can we maybe give them a little bit more time than 1 minute? Just because I think a lot of people prepare speeches, there's a lot of people who want to be heard. I think it's important that we hear our stakeholders.
Please, if you listen, continue. I do hear what you're saying, and I understand the importance. It is up to the will of the board if we would extend that. However, I will point out that it is usually very important for those who speak, and it is a topic of interest that may be of common interest. So those remarks may be something that can be, rather than repeat the same points, that you want to pare it down and hit a new point that maybe wasn't offered up. I would not like us to have to put too much time into our regularly scheduled time slot for this part of our meeting, because we usually allow.
Would it be okay if, say, an extra minute, so 2 minutes per?
So we put an hour, okay? If that is the consensus of the board, I see a lot of nodding heads. Okay, then we have consensus, we'll extend it to 2 minutes. Thank you. So, when you come up, I'll just let you know that it doesn't become a two-way conversation. However, if you bring up something that is a question or point that we have to have someone get back with you to give you more clarity or answer a question and so forth, we'll be happy to do that. And that will be at a later time, but not at the time at this present moment. And as I did touch on, if there's a need for translation or if there's some other modification that we can provide for some form of disability or limitation, we'll be happy to make accommodations, but we do need as much lead time as possible so we can better serve you. So with that, let me go ahead and move on to our minutes. We have 2 sets before us, so I will start with a request for a motion on item 1. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on February 9th, 2021. Second. I have a motion from Mrs. Anderson and a second from Mrs. Buck. Are there any additions or corrections that anyone of us see in these sets of minutes? Okay. All right, with that, let's go ahead and take our vote on that, please. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It has passed unanimously, including our student board members' vote. I'll take a motion for the second set.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting on February 27th, 2021.
Second. Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Youngblood and a second from Mrs. Buck. Again, any changes to those minutes, corrections, or other? Okay, let's vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion has passed unanimously. Oh, actually, you're not on this one because you weren't present at that workshop. So, it will show a passage for 5-0. All right. Now, we're already at public comment. So, in the order that I have them come in, and I do want to emphasize, I noticed this at our last meeting. I think we have 13 people. And I think only 2 or 3 provided contact information. And it's your choice, but if you do want us to get back with you, if you can provide that, that facilitates us in our ability to perhaps answer a question or clarify something. So, with that, let me start. The first speaker is Christine Perez. The
Bernardo Yorba Matador Messenger, the first S&O middle school publication in Orange County and the first of its kind in PYLUSD, is celebrating 10 years online, and we have a lot to celebrate. An average monthly worldwide readership of over 5,000, 3,500 published articles from campus events to interviews with NASA scientists, inventors, publishers, authors, professional athletes, and even our own Dr. Nelson. I hope to return next month with more good news as we work towards becoming a distinguished S&O website. Stay tuned. And I wanted to add that in our classrooms as teachers, we celebrate our students as they adapt, learn, and excel, as they show grit and determination, the same attributes that served our ancestors well throughout history. The same history that shows our students that great people respond to great challenges. We can delight in our early or easy successes, but we are defined by our response to what is difficult. Daily, I'm inspired by my teaching colleagues as they adapt their lessons and devise novel ways to reach our students beyond the confines of plexiglass barriers and Zoom rooms. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Randy Sims. And perhaps you are in the foyer, so we'll wait. It's quite fine.
Hi, good evening. Where do I go?
Right here on the podium.
Hi, good evening. I am here to talk about all of the great things going on at Valadez Middle School. At Valadez Middle School, we are very, very proud. We're very, very proud of our students. Our students for Black History Month in February, every day during homeroom, they created and presented African American contributions to the United States of America. And spotlighting and acknowledging contributions of African Americans during Black History Month is a great accomplishment for students, for our school, and for our district. Additionally, we are going to now spotlight women's history, contributions made by women, and in months to come, we're going to have autism awareness. We're going to have Arab American contributions. We're going to continue with contributions made by the LGBT community, and we're going to spotlight Central American contributions. Students need to see themselves in the classroom. Students need to hear about themselves through lessons that we teach. And we are so proud of our students' resilience. We're proud of our staff. We're proud of the mobile vaccination clinic that comes to Valadez Middle School on Saturdays to vaccinate our community, who is often a vulnerable community. And without our mobile vaccination clinic, partnered with Family Health Matters, it's important. And it's important for our communities to know that they're important. It's important for the students to know that they're important. Additionally, we want to also acknowledge that we are doing great things when it comes to students. Read for the Record is a tradition of ours, and Read for the Record continued this year, where first graders were taught the importance of literacy and mentored by our 8th grade students. And so we're doing great things in our school. Our students are doing great things. Our teachers are doing great things. And our district is doing great things to help us with those accomplishments.
Okay. Our next speaker this evening is Alan Zakarian.
Thank you for making the time for public comments, making us late for giving us more time tonight. You'll have to excuse my exit after comment. I have to go home and watch my kids as my wife, who just won Teacher of the Year, is spending 2 to 3 hours every night lesson planning and grading, despite the fact that some people think this pandemic world is some kind of vacation for teachers. There seems to be some confusion on what this board in our district can and can't do. This board, our teachers in Apple do not decide when we open back up. Despite the best efforts of certain members to sow division and paint our teachers as lazy enemies of families, the idea that they have some kind of say in opening them back up to full-time and full capacity is a lie. Our district is operating under the guidance set forth by the Department of Health. Our district is operating as open as allowed by law. Our district has been this way as long as possible, since October. Our teachers are operating with the guidelines set forth by the hybrid MOU, and there have been zero demands from Apple to deviate from these guidelines. Please be aware that when elected officials start their Facebook posts with, "I heard," "rumor has it," or people are saying, they are lying. These board members are ignorant to the facts, or lying about them, and I don't know which is worse. The community is asking the elected board members to hold these members accountable. Board members that go on Alex Jones type TV shows are a problem. They use Facebook to push lies, ignorance, and phobias are a problem. We need to hold these members accountable. Our district has always been a flagship. Let's not forget, this district is why many of us live here. A lot of us raise our families here, and a lot of people are paying top dollars to move here. I'm sure you all saw the article in the Register last week talking about the retirements in our district. 5 principals, 29 teachers as of last week, on top of the 20 teachers taking leaves of absences. This is happening while the state has seen a 26% increase in teacher retirements, and surveys showing 62% are retiring earlier than planned. We need to be attracting the best teachers to our district, but the word is getting out. Teachers don't come here for the pay. We're one of the lowest paid districts in the area. They come here because we're special. The best of the best will stop coming here as long as there are board members that harbor feelings of contempt and resentment towards our educators and the special role they play in our community. We need board members that can work with teachers and not insult them on Facebook. We need board members that can accept reality rather than refuse to concede it. And we need board members that put our kids and community first.
I need to have you conclude your remarks.
I'm done, thank you. I'm asking the board of the community to hold our officials accountable, to support our teachers as we always have, and for everyone to resist the efforts of a few to pit us against the teachers that have made this district something we're so proud of. Thank you, and I apologize for that.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Linda Mannion.
Good evening, President Freeman, Board of Trustees, Doctoral Assessor, and Executive Cabinet. My name is Linda Mannion, and I'm the proud president of the Association of Placentia Linda Educators. Apple has a membership of 1,075 highly dedicated and hard-working teachers, which is 96% of all teachers in the district. PYLUSD is a unique school district. It has a well-earned reputation of being a place where quality teachers and administrators want to be. It is a reputation for quality education and successful students that are prepared to meet their future goals. This reputation has been built by a unique relationship between PYLUSD management and Apple. We both value and respect each other, and we both value quality education. We have a long history of positive, open dialogue and success. The pandemic has been a shock to all of us. There is no history to guide us on teaching during a pandemic. This has been a time of ever-changing information regulations and balancing of public health and education. The district and Apple have been in constant communication since the end of last school year, reacting to and revising plans to provide the best possible education while protecting the health of our students, teachers, and community. These discussions are guided by the CDC and the California Department of Public Health. The dialogue between Apple and the district has not stopped. It continues today. We are excited about the possibility to fully open schools next year. We are also excited to have continuing conversations with the district to discover ways that we may safely expand and offer students more opportunities for the current school year. The professional relationship between the district and Apple has guided PYLUSD to be the great destination school district with the reputation it currently enjoys. We look forward to continuing to be that partner so that we may maintain what is now known as the PYLUSD advantage. Thank you.
The next speaker come forward.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of my students tonight. We have a cybersecurity team and a cybersecurity program at the high school, and we started about 5 years ago, and on just one student when we started. And this year, they really want to start building what they call legacy, and we want to get into it. So they said, I asked them, if you can give me something to put together, I'll take it to the board in the school tonight and let you guys hear what they want to say. So first of all, I'd like to say what cybersecurity is. It's all about networking security, application security, anything security kind of cyber device, digital device, or anything to that respect. So that's what it's about. And that was one of the big concerns. I thought maybe everybody didn't know what that was. The other one was cybersecurity growth. There's an estimated $250 billion in growth in the next 10 years. So I think that's important for everyone to know. 8% growth within the next 2 to 3 years, and 3.5 million jobs available right now in cybersecurity alone. And they're unfilled. So they're really looking forward to getting a really good pay up. Every day we have 4,000 cyber attacks. Every 18 seconds there's a cyber attack. And there's $3.5 billion of damage done annually. And that's average, sometimes it's really more. The average salary starting off the average salary is $120,000 for a cybersecurity specialist. And they want you to know the starting pay starts between $68,000 and $54,000. And today we were on the USA job site, and government cyber attack starts off at $107,000. So they're pretty excited about this program, and they really want to see it grow. Why is it important? A lot of cyber crime out there. Some is trafficking, virtual threats, damages to data, terrorism, forgery, espionage, and the list goes on and on. And they want to make sure that they want to be part of the group that stops that. One of the things that we've done over the years is we've started the cyber competitions. And our Cyber Patriot competition is the first one we started. It's run by the American Air Force Association. It puts students in a position of a starting IT person who has to. Well, real quick, they did really well. Every year we've had between 10 and teams at the high school and 16 at the middle school. This year, our high schools finished. We had 4 teams finishing the platinum level. One of our teams finished top 20 in the nation. And our same thing with our middle school. They finished in the top 25 or 30. So it's an excellent program, and they're looking to do community outreach to elementary schools. They're going to make you proposal themselves so you guys can hear that. And they wanted to be on elementary and senior centers in the area. So just some good stuff to hear what these kids are doing. Again, I'm just here representing them. So thank you for your time.
Jeremy Kelly, please.
I put down the name. My name is Jeremy Kelly, and I'm a teacher in this district. I have been a part of this district since I was 5 years old. I was a kindergartner here, and I went here all the way through high school. I served as a special education paraprofessional, and I did that until I started my teaching credential. I did student teaching here. And the year after I got hired in this district, I've been in this district for a very, very long time. And I just wanted to speak today on behalf of our teachers. I'm a proud member of the Association of Professional Educators. I want to thank our teachers and school staff. A year ago, none of us had planned to do the jobs the way that we have been. But our collective district has done amazing work in incredibly trying circumstances. We all know the way we've needed to educate students has changed, and have seen teachers tackle the challenges with a determination to provide everything they can for their students. They have found new and novel ways to reach out and to help their students. Every teacher I've spoken to has put more hours in than ever to find ways to reach their students. And no teacher I've spoken to has seen this as a paid vacation. We know that this is not a forever situation. We have made great strides in keeping our campuses safe for our students attending in person and the staff that is on campus with them. I ask that you continue to keep our campuses safe. We're closer and closer each day to getting back to a point where we can fully be back on campus. Let's not jeopardize that by attempting to ease and end the safety measures that we have put in place to protect everyone attending on our campuses. Finally, I would like to take this time to thank our current board for making the decision to bring in an organization, the Family Health Matters Community Health Center, to help with the vaccination of our community, as well as the opportunity it brings to our teachers and other staff an additional avenue to obtain vaccination. The more quickly we can get community-wide vaccination, the safer we'll be on our district, the safer we'll be for our district-wide family. And the quicker we can get back to the education we were providing before COVID-19. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. The next person to come forward, please, is Chris Powell.
Good evening. PYLUSD requires Zoom school. Wherever the student is engaged in Zoom school, it can be considered school property and within the school's charge. PYLUSD is legally responsible to exercise reasonable care in supervising students in its charge and may be liable for injuries proximately caused by the failure to exercise such care. Dozens of studies from the medical field and the CDC, as well as insurance claims, show that students between the ages of 13 and 18 inflicting self-harm on themselves is up 100%. Medical help for drug overdose for this age group has risen 119%. Students are at least 10 times more likely to die from suicide than from the Chinese coronavirus. So legally, where does this put PYLUSD? Legally, PYLUSD is partially or entirely liable for all student physical and or psychological harm resulting from forced Zoom school, since the students are engaging in school-sponsored events and the student danger and or harm is clearly defined and foreseeable. PYLUSD is requiring Zoom school. PYLUSD is aware that Zoom school has serious negative effects on students which result in physical and psychological harm and possibly death. The harm to students is clearly defined and foreseeable. PYLUSD is liable for any and all damages resulting from Zoom school, as Zoom school isolates students, drives depression, increases self-harm, increases substance abuse, increases suicide rates. PYLUSD wants to open but can't because APLE, the teacher union, is refusing to go back and or negotiate. The decision to keep our schools closed is reckless and irresponsible. The risks are clearly defined and foreseeable, therefore PYLUSD is responsible for the outcome. The action of no action or delaying is not acceptable. I understand the teacher unions have failed and are holding our schools hostage. I am arguing that PYLUSD can breach the APLE teacher union contract since student health and life is at risk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do ask that when my speakers at the mic, that everyone else in the audience, be it in this room and in the outer area of the lobby, please use courtesy to the speaker at the mic, please. Thank you. Next person forward at the microphone is Dale Brown.
Okay, Mr. Brown.
Thanks very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I was hoping to be the first non-teacher or union lackey to speak, but sadly I get to be the second. So here's the thing, I'll make it really short. We really are failing our kids. Failing my kids, failing the kids in the district, but maybe more importantly, I don't know, you're failing the most vulnerable people in this district. I go to some of the areas of this district where people don't speak English as a first language. I see how hard their families work, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. The kids are sitting at home on Zoom meetings. That's not what public education is about, folks. Every child in this state has a right to a free and appropriate education. It's written in our Constitution. This isn't working. That middle understanding needs to be rewritten. The union should feel ashamed of itself for digging its heels in and not allowing that to happen. It's shameful, and it's a dereliction of duty. I yield my time.
The next person to come forward, Heather Brown.
Speaking of children, I love hearing all the wonderful things about this district. As someone said earlier, a lot of us chose to move here or purchase homes here simply so that our children could attend these wonderful schools in our district. It's always been highly regarded. Once again, let's talk about the plan. We may not be able to open full-time on campus today, but what is the plan? Is there a plan? Have we neglected to plan? What's the plan? To the parents of children who are not thriving in the hybrid education being offered by this district, I'll go ahead and point out, there are 3 people on this school board who were only elected in November. 2 members of this board have been working together for 10 years now. What is the plan? Is there a plan? I'll also point out there are people in this room whose mission is to further the interests of their own membership. And that's normal. But unless your children or you are paying them dues, they don't care about your plight. I don't really know why you even bring them up. It doesn't matter. They don't care. It's not their jobs to care. This district's received over $25 million from various sources since March 2020. Yet our children still don't have a plan. Apparently, if you have one, you're not being transparent about it, letting the stakeholders know about it. Why? The message that the children in this district who are struggling has received loud and clear is, we understand your suffering. We understand what we've offered isn't working for you from an academic standpoint, a social standpoint, an emotional standpoint, or maybe even a mental standpoint. We understand this, but we don't care. We're not even going to release a plan. What we have in place for you. Parents, remove your children from this district if you want full-time education.
The next speaker to come forward to the microphone is Sherry Pelicky. Could I ask at least, Mr. Pelicky, could you step just perhaps out of it and let there be distance between you and some of our staff, please? Thank you. You're still able to be seen. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shari Pelicky and I have 4 children in the district. I'm here to discuss what I will refer to as optional curriculum, or curriculum chosen by teachers and staff to include in their regular teachings. These are additional teaching items that are given or taught to our children that are not a part of the approved curriculum of PYLUSD. I believe a teacher who just spoke was speaking of this very thing earlier. As I understand from Linda Adamson from our district, she said, as always been the case for activities and events planned, teachers and schools select their own activities and events. The 2 images you see here were part of a school-wide activity at Kramer Middle School that was shown to all students in February of this school year. They were not part of the approved PYLUSD curriculum, but rather approved by the principal, Mike Young. Apparently, the choosing of these images by school staff and not the district curriculum committee or school board trustees is allowed, according to Mrs. Adamson. What is obviously appalling about these 2 images are how they represent our law enforcement community. I cannot imagine being a 12-year-old child with law enforcement parents and viewing these images in class among my peers. The images were deleted after the district was called by parents complaining that clearly the damage was already done. Unfortunately, this is not the only time students in our district have been exposed to inappropriate optional curriculum. The list is long. I think everyone can agree that our nation is divided and we all need to be very, very careful of what messages we send to the students in our district. There is no place for optional curriculum in our schools. Parents need to know what their children are being exposed to. I implore this board to designate a district employee to supply our teachers and schools with additional materials that can be included in their regular teachings for national celebrations and other events that fall outside of the designated and approved curriculum. Thank you.
The next speaker, I do believe the signature indicates the name is Ed Van. Do I have that correct? Perhaps they're in the foyer. It is a student speaker.
Yeah. Hey, God. How are you?
Greetings, and thank you for the opportunity to address the board. When unions choose, students lose. Please open the schools full-time and in person. Teachers good, union bad. Our schools are closed for one reason, the union, and the 5 previous board members who did their bidding. Only 2 of them remain after this last November's election, and I, for one, will be glad to see the other 2 out of office in 2022. Cancel culture is alive and well in the local teachers union. They are demanding the resignation of one of the people on this board. Do not resign. The union is scared that you are not Misty Jansen, a supporter of 1619 Project and critical race theory. You are not Eric Pageant, whom stood for nothing, but did kneel before the union. Or Lachey Rodriguez, a Democrat carpetbagger from Riverside, a single woman with no children, supported by the local teachers union very early on with their endorsement and a big check. She was hoping to destroy our school district on her way to Sacramento to become an assemblywoman. Ridiculous. I'm glad our community had other plans for her. I had the Wuhan Kung Flu virus from China in January, and I've had hangovers that are worse. It is not that big of a deal. We should open up the schools. Children don't have anything to lose. Younger parents, no big deal. Only the elderly and the weak have something to fear. And then you can go get your shots. The children have been dumbed down now for a year. Remote learning is deleterious to our students academically, socially, and emotionally, and I watch it every day. Please open the schools full-time, in person, teachers good, union bad. 2022 is around the corner, and we hope to send 2 more board members that closely represent our community and not the union's lackeys. Goodbye, Freeman. Goodbye, Buck. Down with the union.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dunn. Our next speaker at the microphone will be Mrs. G.
Good evening. Thank you for this time. Brave, responsible, accountable. This is how the families of PYLUSD should be describing their district. However, in recent days, we have learned that the district is not being brave. They're not being responsible. They are not being accountable to the 25,000 students they serve. It is time to take care of the students you serve, no matter what the cost. It is time to be the role model you should be and stand up to the bully. Our children need you. They depend on you. Mental health decline is up 300% in our area alone. You asked us to do our part, and we did. We hired childcare so we could go to work. We bought masks and we upgraded our technology. We adjusted our schedules to allow for only 2 hours of elementary school. We accepted Pepsi classes. We K to 2 lunches. We watched our children's mental health decline before our very eyes. We wiped their tears.
and we held them tight. You asked us to do our part, and we did it for 12 months. It is now time that you do yours. Our kids are suffering, you guys. Let them back to school.
The next speaker to come forth is Deborah Myers, please.
Okay, good evening. I had a very carefully written 5-minute speech, and I'm going to have to really pare it down. My name is Deborah Myers. I am a proud Apple Executive Board member. I'm also a 6th grade teacher at Glenville Elementary. And I was going to talk about some things that just are happening generally in my school that I know about, but I think I'm going to talk about what we do in my classroom. In my 6th grade classroom, my partner teacher and I, at the beginning of this, decided there really wasn't anything we could eliminate from our schedule or from what we thought our kids needed. Therefore, we are teaching everything. We've already done 3 DBQs this year that involved rather complex writing projects at the end of it that focus on argument writing with text evidence citation. We are still doing our Greek and Latin vocabulary because that is so fundamental to any kind of academic language. We have read 2 core literature books and we'll be starting another. We are teaching math every day. We are actually ahead of the district pacing guide right now. My kids' grades are on average about what they have been traditionally, as well as their work completion on their asynchronous work. We are departmentalizing for science and social studies. My kids get science and social studies every day. I am a social studies teacher. We are taught Living Man, Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, ancient China, and we just started Greece. I take great exception to the idea that I am a lazy teacher, that I am somehow on vacation. I have never worked harder in my life, and my kids are doing fine. I think they will be on pace to start middle school next year just fine. They are writing, they are reading, they are doing math, and they are, I hope, having some fun. I would like to remind you that teachers in this district work harder than anybody I know. Longer hours, forget about a weekend. I don't think any of us have had a weekend or a summer break.
I need to have you conclude.
I give up.
Thank you very much. I need to keep it to a certain length. Thank you so much. Marquise Hawley is our next speaker at the podium.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Speak just a little louder if you can. Thank you.
My name is Marquise, and I am the Apple Community Outreach Chairperson for the past 8 years, and also a teacher at Apple High School. We have done so many projects with the community since I have been at the helm, but even before that, we have been giving out scholarships, $500 to each high school, which includes one at El Camino and one at the alternative sites. And I have Jean that passes out. Just as an example, every year we have a brochure. I send them to all of the high school counselors, and they disseminate them to their seniors to please apply for the scholarship. The $500 can really go toward anything. They just have to show that they're enrolled at community college or any other trade school that have. I also do a flyer that the counselors post on the wall in their scholarship area. And this has been going on for as long as, this is my 35th year in the district. A wonderful little commemorative thing. And as long as I've been a teacher, this has been going on at all high schools. So it is amazing. Besides that, for the past, since 2012, we've also been doing an adopted family outreach to the community. The first year, we had 1 family. This year, we had 14. And then our other family, we have been involved in the Shamrock and Run with the Reach Foundation and sponsoring money that goes out and then is returned to our schools. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next speaker to come forward is Jess Battaglia. Perhaps he's in the podium. Jess Battaglia.
Long legs. Good evening, Justice here. I come to you tonight as a concerned parent of the PYLUSD, the district. I'm a 39-year-old, married with 3 children, all 3 in the PYLUSD system, 2 at Travis Ranch, 1 at a special needs program down the street at Tynes. Proud Fairmont, myself, I'm a proud Fairmont Falcon, Bernardo Yorba Matador, Esperanza Aztec. I heard something earlier from one of the union members that said that there were plans in place to open in the 21-22 year, and that's just unacceptable. We want to hear more about the plan to open now, safely, first and foremost, safely. Okay, I'm a big proponent of safety, and I commend the teachers that have practiced, safe, safely in the classroom. So we want to plan right now, around the corner. We're opening up, Disneyland at Partially. We're opening up Knott's Berry Farm in Orange County. You're able to see an Angels game come the next season. Let's open up our schools now. The next topic is on the topic of disadvantaged students. Many people think that everyone, or most folks in PYLUSD are upper middle, class, white families, but that's just not true. Almost 40% of the PYL students are economically disadvantaged, and almost 30% are Hispanic Latino. Many children depend on their schools for their next hot meal. They depend on their teachers to be their friends, their protectors. In fact, we know that without the watchful eyes of teachers, these awesome teachers in this district, and administrative staff, many children will simply be released to a home environment that is potentially unsafe, even under the best circumstances. So now you place a tremendous amount of external stress on parents, financial pressure, emotional stress, etc. Then you send the kids home most of the day, in addition to trying to make a living and pay their rent. These parents are doing the best they can in a homeschool environment. So obviously we only have the 2 minutes. I know my time is up, but I come to you as a sincerely concerned parent. I moved it back to this community. My wife and I saved our pennies to live here and raise our kids in the same school district that I had. And I do not want to see our children robbed any longer of those full days in school to benefit from these amazing teachers like I had. I really want that for them. Thank you very much.
The next person to speak at the podium is Todd Harshbarger.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Todd Harshbarger, and I'm affiliated with the school district both as an alum and a parent. Since I spoke last month about transparency, arrangements have been made to broadcast the audio, and I think that's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. I encourage the board to expand these efforts by incorporating video, and more importantly, by allowing those participating remotely to make comments. As a physician, I am acutely aware of the threat of COVID-19 poses to our community. Many members of our community are unable to attend in person because there are very real health concerns related to the virus. We all want to get back to normal, but we're not there yet. It's simply not that simple. Most people still have not been vaccinated and continue to be at risk of infection and death. And you can take your advice from a caveman who has no medical degree, but I take issue when someone stands up here and tries to tell the board that this is made up, that it's only the weak. And after all, even if it is the weak, I think we have an obligation to protect the weak. There are members of the community that are being discriminated against, and their points, their comments are not being heard because of the policies in place. Open it up to remote commentary. In regards to opening the schools, again, it's just not that simple. Like many parents, I am eager for my children to get back to the classroom, but I recognize the process must be done safely. I think there is growing evidence in favor of reopening, but to do so without respect for those safeguards is insane. I also appreciate all the speakers who have managed to wear their masks and respect the health of all the participants. Thank you.
The next speaker to be coming up is Sean McKay. Sean McKay, perhaps a second be in on the board. Welcome. Please right over here if you would. Thank you.
Thank you for the time. There is no group of people in our community that's more essential than our children. And this system, whether that be the union or the board or what it is here, we're failing them. The teachers that we have within our school system are amazing. Mrs. Woodward, Mrs. Nerio, Mrs. Osborne are some of the best people that we've encountered. And we moved to Yorba Linda so we could take advantage of this school system. But we're creating a separation of classes within our groups. We are seeing our neighbors send their kids to private schools left and right, while I am a single income earner for my family to try to struggle in this neighborhood, to try to make it work so that we can be with the right people, with the right resources, and give our children the best possible future they can have. They're spending 2.5 hours a day on digital learning. Yes, they get a chance to be at the school for a short period of time, but they're still learning via iReady, extra math, and other digitized forms of education. And they deserve more. The ability to interact with other children, to develop leadership skills, to find out when it's appropriate to say something and not to say something, to be able to stand up and actually learn what the social interactions of society require of you is being missed right now. And I feel very, very passionately that we are missing the boat with this hybrid system. And it's time for all of us to put our kids first and take action and do it together. Who cares who's responsible for these things? Let's put our children first. Thank you.
The next person to come forth is Andy Falco.
Hello, I'll dispense with my prepares.
Was this the individual that, okay, we do requirements. Thank you very much.
This morning, so I probably didn't have.
There was a conversation with an individual as to whether she had medical reasons. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to dispense with my prepared statement because many of the parents that talked earlier said exactly what I wanted to say. Our schools need to open up. Children are dying. I have 4 friends in my circle of friends who have children who have committed suicide. and I really don't have that many friends. And that's a lot of children that have committed suicide just here in the Orange County area since the closing of the schools. I attend a church called Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, where I attend and have been attending since May. 9,000 people go to that church on Sunday. No masks, no social distancing, no plastic partitions between us. All the kids go to class, same thing there. Nobody has died. No, none of the volunteers that volunteered with the children that are 40 to 50 children in each one of the classrooms has died. Everybody shows up every day. There are far more people and children dying because of what's happening, not because of COVID. And so we need to open up. The other thing that I just want to mention is Leander Blaze is the best thing that's happened to the school board. What's happening to her outside of this in the social media is a shame. Everybody should be ashamed of what's happening. The school board and the school district should be looking into it and taking action against those people that work for the school district that are saying slanderous things about her and just simply telling false statements and trying to force her to resign and all the things that she is going through is ridiculous. She cares about not only the students, but she cares about the teachers. And what you guys need to do as far as the school district is really look into it a little bit deeper and protect her because she simply is the best thing that's happened in the school district. Thank you.
The next person to come forward to speak is Amber Griven.
Hello. Thank you for your time. I could have a few things that I wanted to say, and in light of the emotion of tonight, I just feel like I first and foremost wanted to say that as our community, we need to stop the divide and we need to start coming together because at the bottom line, we are here for our kids. And that's actually why I'm here tonight. I'm here for my kids. I was a classroom teacher before having children, and then I stayed home while they were young. As they got older, I volunteered and substituted at their school. And now I'm a librarian at one of our local elementary schools. I have 3 kids, one in elementary, middle, and high school. So I've got a pretty well base of what's going on here with a large network of friends who also have kids in a variety of schools here within our district. We have an amazing school district. You guys know that. You've heard it from many people here tonight. We love our teachers, we love our staff and our administration. We get amazing support, and that is why we all bought houses here, why we chose to live here. We wanted to raise our kids here. And unfortunately, this hybrid model is now failing our children. And we're sitting back waiting and waiting for something to happen. And now that we're upon this 1-year mark that we thought we're just taking 2 weeks off to flatten the curve and to just see where things are going, we're a year into it. And our kids are suffering. Our kids are suffering academically. Our kids are suffering emotionally. Our kids' mental health is on the verge of the brink of irreversible repair. And we don't want to have to get to a point where we're returning like Las Vegas because it has gotten so bad. We need to return on a positive note. We need to return now while these kids still have hope. I could go into a few more things, but as the buzzer's going off, I just would love to see a plan, an action plan soon. Enough of the talking and let's start doing, let's start having some action.
The next speaker to come forward is Judith Nutza.
Good evening. I just made this decision to speak, and this is my first meeting, so bear with me as I sort of am off the cuff. But I want to speak from my heart, and what keeps coming to me is a quote by Maya Angelou, and it is, "You do the best you can." And when you know better, you do better.
We know more now. We're a year into this thing. Let's do better. My children deserve better. I want to know who's in charge here. Is it the board? Is it Apple? Who's in charge? Who's making the decision? And who is advocating for my children, for their children, for our children, for this village that is our community? Because if you want to know what to do with the kids, ask the moms. You know what they'll tell you? They'll tell you they're struggling. I am best case scenario. I'm going to pull together for a second. We have 2 parents in the household. We were not affected financially by COVID-19. My children are typical learners. I have 2 in elementary, 1 in middle school. And we are struggling. There's a 5-star general, William Mick, something that's escaping me, and he has this amazing speech, and it says, you want to change the world, get up in the morning and make your bed. My kids do it at 6:45 about every day. 7 o'clock, done. And then you know what we do? We sit around for 5 hours before it's time to go to school. They're cohort B, 11:45. It is the worst hybrid schedule I could imagine. I have asked 4 times to switch to cohort A. It's just not possible because of some spacing issues, and I fully support our school. It's not an us against them thing. What I'm hoping is that I see both hybrid models. If we can't get back to school now, let's pivot immediately. Change the elementary to what we're doing in the secondary schools, because you know what? They get full-time instruction.
I need to have you wrap up your remarks. Thank you.
We know better. Let's do better.
Thank you. The next speaker to come forth is Judy Desjardins. I corrected myself. Thank you. Welcome.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm working on it.
That's
You were
all
here
right.
last time. Thank you for your patience with me.
Good evening, everyone. I am here as a grandparent. My name is Judy Desjardins. My granddaughter attends the elementary school, and she is struggling. She's getting 2 hours of instruction every day. The parents, the grandparents, now her aunt is stepping in to have to be a teacher to instruct. When I know that there are other schools open in Orange County, why are we not open? I am concerned about transparency of the school district, the union, and the parents. I have a concern. If the union has the power, if the union has been given the power to decide whether the school is to be open or not, this is not acceptable. This is not right. So I do want answers. I want to see something on a website. I want to see something at Apple. And I would also like to say about school safety. We know about the mental illness and the depression. And thank God we've got Leandra Blades with her background in law enforcement. She is an asset. And please, I would like to know, I want transparency. I want to know who is calling, who has the power to open up the schools. Thank you very much.
The next speaker to come forth is Judy Peterson. Is she still coming forth? Thank you very much. Thanks.
Number 2. My name is Judy Peterson, and I've lived in Yorba Linda since 1972. And our 3 sons were fortunate to attend Van Buren, Kramer Junior High, Valencia, Esperanza in this district. Last month was the first time I'd ever come to a school board meeting, and I'm very glad I came. I learned some things that I didn't want to know, and I'd like to share 3 of my observations with you. I learned that here in our wonderful city, there is prejudice toward Black children and children of other races and ethnic groups. This is not acceptable. Parents and teachers should be gently and prayerfully confronting the children who participate in this and advising the parents of the offending children that this has to stop. I'm sure the schools are aware of this problem and are working on it, and I don't know all the facts on that, but to hear a parent stand up and say that to this group was pretty startling. Number 2, I learned that here in our wonderful city, there's prejudice against conservative and religious children. Even a few teachers are participating in this. Schools should be politically and religiously neutral, and any teacher who participates in this kind of indoctrination should be reprimanded and possibly removed from the classroom. Pushing politics, religion, or anti-religion in our schools is unacceptable. Number 3, I learned that here in our wonderful city, 1 or more duly elected members of the school board are being harassed and threatened with removal because of their conservative leanings. Attending a rally and expressing one's beliefs, even when they aren't politically correct, is not a crime. They're not against the law. In fact, our laws deliberately protect the rights of those who have differing ideas. Don't be afraid of differing ideas. Embrace them. That's how democracy works, and that's how America has become the greatest nation there is. Thank you very much.
The next person to come forward is Laura Estanislaw. Yes, that is the correct location.
Good evening. My name is Laura Estanislaw, and I'm a mother of 2 in a school district occupational therapist in a neighboring district. My husband grew up in this district and attended Glen Knoll and Troy Tech, which now is this district. We genuinely love and support our teachers, but I'm here to advocate for the full and complete reopening of our school district upon Orange County's return to the red tier. We're huge supporters of public education and see the value in sending our children to Rose Drive. The cultural benefits, sense of community, and overall quality of education within the district have always made the decision to send our kids to public school a relatively easy one. But in spite of our best efforts, we're seeing a large drop-off in the quality of education and instruction within this hybrid environment. We fear that if this continues, the lack of quality in our children's education is going to make a real impact on their future development. Additionally, many other states and counties have maintained their commitment to full-time, in-person instruction with very little impact on the health and safety of the surrounding community. Vaccinations have now been available and open for educational providers for over 2 weeks now, which only helps the safety of both children and staff. In this hybrid environment continues, we'll be forced to pull our children from Rose Drive and we'll go right to the private school route, which will be very likely that we will not be returning. Based on conversations with friends and neighbors in this community, I know that we're not alone. I hope to take our concerns seriously and announce that full-time, in-person instruction will resume as soon as possible. If this does not happen, I urge you as parents to pull your children from the district and enroll them in a school where children's lives and education are put first. Thank you for your time.
The next person to come forward is Kim.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Reset. I have 3 kids in the district. I'm a senior in high school, a 4th grader, and a preparatory. And I'm here to represent elementary kids. I want to know whose decision it was to take them from remote learning at 6 hours down to 2.5 hours. I want to know whose decision it was to bait and switch us parents to fill out surveys to attend hybrid, not knowing it was 2.5 hours of instruction. I've emailed, I've asked everyone here several times, I've gotten nowhere. The only person that's responded to me is Leanna Williams. So I'm here to ask all of you, in a day of the life of an elementary school kid, I have a 4th grader. He goes to school from 7:50 to 10 o'clock. He gets out around 10:15, 10:30, goes to extended learning. Opens up his book and he's got 120 minutes of, I call it busy work, with no instruction whatsoever except the 2 hours in the morning that his teacher went over with him. He has questions, he doesn't understand what to do. Extended childcare doesn't have all the answers. They tell him, wait for your mom and dad to pick you up. Dad and I go pick him up at 5 o'clock. He's got 4 or 5 assignments from the busy work that he needed to get done for the 120 minutes, on top of the 80 minutes of homework that's been assigned daily that his teacher says the district makes him do. By the time we get home at 5 o'clock, it's back to bookwork. Mom and dad have to put on our teacher hat. We have to figure out somehow to teach him math, language arts, science. We've got to get him a bath. He's got to eat dinner. He's got to be a kid at some point in life. He does this every day, 5 days a week. I want to know why. I want to know whose decision it was to go from 6 hours of being in front of an instructor for live instruction. I want to know why the California Department of Education says we need 240 minutes of instruction, yet our kids are getting 2 hours. Busy work is not instruction. I can throw a book at you and tell you how to build a car, but you're not going to know how to do it if someone doesn't show you how to do it. And I'm sick and tired of getting nowhere since October of me answering these questions. So I demand some sort of transparency of why our elementary kids only have 2 hours of instruction. Why can't they Zoom for cohort B? Why can't cohort B Zoom for cohort A? Why can't we get the teacher all day? Why are we limited to 2 hours a day when middle school and high school get to Zoom all day long?
I need to have you conclude your remarks if you could, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker to come in is, or perhaps is seated before us here, Amy Swearingen.
Hello, thank you for the time tonight. I just wanted to speak personally. I have a daughter that graduated last year. I have a junior in high school son and an 8th grade son at El Dorado and Tuffy. We love our teachers. This has nothing to do with our teachers not giving their very best to our kids, but it's not working well for the teachers, at least the teacher friends that I have, and it's not working very well for my boys. They are both high achievers. My junior son was first in his class over the last 2 years. This last semester, he struggled to pull B minuses. I know that for some people that would be amazing, but when you're used to straight A's, that's a struggle. He's depressed. He's not motivated. He has stepped out of sports. He is failing to thrive. He goes to school twice a week. He has 2 kids in his French class. What he is learning from most of his friends who have hybrid just isn't working. Most of his friends, what this year is teaching them is how to cheat. They stay home because it's easier. They can roll out of bed, maybe turn their camera on, but they can have their book open. Tests are not equitable. If you happen to be in person, when you get a test, you should be expected to know the information. All the kids should be expected to know the information. But he knows that the 34 other kids who are online can look up Google. They can look at their textbook. It is teaching kids to do the very minimum. It's teaching them how to skate by. So I don't think most parents, we know you can't do 100% right now, but we would like an option. We're great on Zoom. That has worked for some. Give us, the rest of us, an option to go 100%. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
The next speaker to come forth is Chris Mertensen.
Hi. First, I want to say that we know our teachers are working their asses off. They are working harder than they've ever worked before. We know how hard they're working, and they're doing the best they can. What is impossible for them is to make connections with the kids. What is impossible for them to see what is going on at home on the other side of their screen. It's impossible for them to teach the way they want to teach. These Apple people that you see here, they are not the everyday teachers in our classroom. They are a very, very small percent of our teachers. Our teachers that we talk to that are afraid to come up here and talk to you guys are saying these things. They are working their butts off trying to do what's best for our kids, and they can't because their hands are tied. So while our kids are at home, I did this quick search. It did not take me very long. Oh, and remember talking about liability? Our school-issued Chromebooks are able to search all kinds of stuff. The camera can be on, but the teacher cannot see what is on a kid's screen. Let's see, reactions of transgenders sharing their boobs with each other. That's right here. Let's see if I can get this volume on. I don't know how to use a Chromebook very well.
I would indicate.
So you know what else?
Excuse me if I might interject. I don't know what you'll be broadcasting.
This is how to roll a joint that our kids can search on a school-issued Chromebook. How to roll a joint. How about how to kill yourself? Lethal means to kill yourself. This is a nurse's website. All of these lethal ways. These are what kids can be searching on the internet while the camera is on, while the teacher thinks they are paying attention. Oh, you know what? I found out my 12-year-old, that my 13-year-old friends were telling her about 69. I did a quick search. On a school-issued Chromebook, we've heard your complaints about 69, so we've got answers. Another one, getting ready, how to inject yourself with heroin. All of these are on a school-issued Chromebook. It's not about the teachers not doing their job. They are working hard. This is impossible for them to prevent. Our teachers are doing an amazing job, but our kids need to be in the classroom and not at home. You are hurting and failing our kids.
Yeah.
The next person to come forward is Stephanie Dunning. If I have that correct, please see. Good enough.
Thanks for letting us share. Instead of talking about my own kids tonight, I think I'd like to talk about the kids I see on our campuses. I joined as a sub this year because I love our teachers, I love our district, but I want my kids on campus and I thought I should be part of the solution. Some of our teachers are killing it. Most of our teachers are killing it, working so hard, but that doesn't represent the full picture. I watch students walk on campus, heads down, quiet, sullen, go straight to their desks. You know, I'm the sub. I'm like the fun guy. When you see me there, you're excited, not these kids. They don't feel comfortable turning, talking to their friends. They don't feel comfortable enjoying the day. I've been kindergarten all the way up to high school. I've been on 10 different campuses. Teachers are doing a great job. Kids are suffering. I give them free time in the class. That's like my job as the sub once the lesson's done. They don't do the normal, like, turn to your friend and talk. They get out the Chromebook and they look at a screen. When I let the 6th graders leave early, 5 minutes early, I think, oh, they're gonna go to the gate and congregate like my kids would before they unlock the gates. No, they speedily head to the gate, walk outside by themselves, find their parents and go home. There's no fun. And we need to find a way to make community for our kids because we're not representing them fully. I can tell you my kids are killing it academically. Do you know why? Because we figured out my son had given up on school and had 26 missing assignments in his honors biology class. And we dug in, and we did the work, and we got him up to an acceptable grade because his GPA mattered. But I can tell you my son's killing it on hybrid. He's not, he's suffering. I left my junior sitting in a dark room staring at a screen for the 7th hour while I researched stories on kids who have committed suicide during this pandemic. So that's what I was going to talk about. What do you think I had a picture of when I saw my child sitting in a dark room staring at a screen? I'm worried for my kids. These kids might be looking good on the outside, but they're not doing good on the inside. And every teacher should be able to at least acknowledge that. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brent Dunnan.
I come here speaking as a father, a dad. I did K through 12 in this district, and my kids are doing that too. I love this district, but my kids are not doing well under this circumstance. I want to address the 6th grade teacher, Becky. You know, I think your class is an exception from what I've seen. And I really, we know the teachers are working hard. No one's questioning that. The teachers are great, but we need our kids back in school. What I am seeing from my children, I saw one from straight A's almost to C's. He's struggling. My daughter's struggling mostly emotionally through this time. It's breaking our hearts. And you know, what I'm seeing also is with my kids, rampant cheating. It's unfair. They don't cheat, but what I see is kids that they'll go and do Zoom instead of go to class on the day they have a test. You guys have to know this is happening all throughout the district. My son tells me about it, and but he's not going to do it. You guys got to get these kids back in school, or you're going to have blood on your hands. We know this stuff is happening. You got to do it. Thank you.
The next speaker to come forth is Martha Ledesma.
Good evening.
Can I apologize. Are you going to act as interpreter?
Yes, exactly. My name is Lynn.
I'm going to extend your time to 4 minutes on that, please.
Great, thank you.
That's what we would do. We would double the time. Thank you.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Marta Ledesma.
My name is Martha Ledesma.
Tengo 4 hijos.
I have 4 children.
Esta es mi segunda vez que yo vengo aquí.
This is the second time that I'm here.
Y yo vengo a decir a nombre de mis hijos.
And I come on behalf of my children.
Y a nombre de muchas madres que van a la escuela.
And many of the parents that take their kids to school.
Que ya ha pasado mucho tiempo.
A long time has passed already.
Esta pandemia no se va a acabar.
This pandemic is not going to end.
El virus lo puedes agarrar en cualquier lugar.
You can catch this virus anywhere you go.
Yo me he encontrado a maestros,
I have seen teachers,
maestros de mis hijos,
my children's teachers,
en el supermercado,
in the supermarket,
en el mall,
in the mall,
en el parque.
in the park.
Y yo pienso,
And I think,
¿no les da miedo?
aren't you afraid of getting the virus
En esos lugares,
in those locations?
pero sí en la escuela.
But yes, in the schools.
Yo creo que si estuvieran tan aterrados de tenerlo,
I feel like if you were so terrified to receive the virus,
no saldrían de su casa.
you wouldn't leave your homes.
Yo creo que la escuela,
I believe that the school,
así como el supermercado,
just like in the supermarket,
la lavandería
the laundromat,
o cualquier otro lugar,
or any place else,
están expuestos a contraer el virus.
they are exposed to getting the virus.
Yo creo
I believe
y entiendo
and understand
a los maestros
the teachers.
que no quieran enfermarse,
They don't want to get sick.
pero también sé,
But I also know
hay muchos nuevos maestros
there are a lot of new teachers.
que se gradúan cada año
They graduate every year
con ganas de trabajar.
with a desire to work.
Entonces, ¿por qué no darle la oportunidad
So why not give them the opportunity
para que los maestros
so that the teachers
que no quieran regresar a la escuela
that do not want to return to school,
estén salvos en su casa?
they can be safe at home?
Yo soy madre.
I'm a mother.
Todos los días
Every day
yo me levanto a trabajar,
I get up and go to work,
exponiéndome,
exposing myself.
pero también entiendo
But I also understand
que es la única manera
that it's the only way
de salir adelante.
to move forward.
Yo creo
I believe
que debemos de empezar
that we should start
a regresar a la normalidad.
to return to some kind of normalcy.
El virus no se va a ir,
The virus is not going anywhere.
pero los niños
But the children,
no tienen por qué seguir pagando.
why would they have to continue to pay for this?
Ellos quieren regresar a la escuela.
They want to return to school.
Yo creo que es un gran paso.
I think it's a big step.
Hay otros lugares
There are other places
que han dado ese paso.
that have taken that step.
Porque este distrito no.
Why is this district not doing that?
¿Cuál es la diferencia?
What is the difference?
Yo no veo ninguna.
I don't see any.
Yo solo veo niños en la casa,
I just see children at home
cada vez más frustrados,
more frustrated,
estresados.
stressed out.
Muchos tienen ansiedades.
Many of them have anxiety.
Yo creo
I believe,
y pido,
and I'm asking,
por favor,
please
regresen a clase.
return to school.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Adrian Ledesma.
Hi, my name is Adrian, and I represent Valdez Middle School Academy.
Excuse me, Adrian, is it possible you move just a little closer and that way everyone will easily hear you? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adrian Ledesma, and I represent Valdez Middle School Academy. Lately, I've been experiencing problems, and it isn't just me, it's also all the students. Programs have been shutting down, or Zoom work because of the CP usage, ICP usage, etc. What I want is for schools to reopen full-time, 5 days a week, and 7 hours a day. Some students have been committing suicide and for example, Las Vegas, New York, etc. A lot of kids have been going down through depression, lost family members, getting hurt, etc. And I'm not trying to offend all of some teachers who represent Apple, but what I'm saying is that it's really hard to replace them. I mean, like my mother said, There are teachers who want to get a chance to teach. I know that COVID is really serious, but what I'm saying is that if it's really that hard for you to teach at school, but not go to the park, to the gym, or to the supermarket, I suggest you just pack up and leave. But for the teachers who are doing everything they can, but are exhausted, or they're just mentally scared, I understand. Due to recent events, I have been failing. For me, my grandma from Mexico has recently passed away due to COVID. And I know that other students have been experiencing the same, their mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their cousins, their aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. But what I'm saying is that please reopen schools. Thank you for listening to me.
The next speaker is Dalton Rahalu. Pardon me, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't catch the correct pronunciation.
Rashalo, sorry.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to open up by saying, I know we have a lot of students, ex-students coming forth saying that this display right here is racist for exercising their First Amendment rights. She in no way, shape, or form incited violence. And secondly, I have a nephew who goes to this district. I graduated from El Dorado at 16. I think it is so wrong that the Apple Union can sit here, they can look me in the eye, and they can say, we can't open up because X, Y, Z. Why? Why other schools in Orange County, but why not us? Why can we not do it? I haven't had a valid answer. I haven't had a valid answer as to why this place is racist. I haven't had a valid answer as to why we can't open up. I haven't had a valid answer as to why we can't do better for our children. My nephew is 2 grades behind in reading. He's in 3rd grade and he's in the 1st grade reading level. He's slightly special needs, he's always struggled, but this pandemic has had an incredible impact on him, and there are no options for him. He has nowhere to turn. He has absolutely nowhere to turn. This Zoom learning, this YouTube university, it's failing our kids. And deep down inside, I think we all know it. And regarding that one man who came in here with the, political law enforcement thing, I don't know if you know who Susan Roxburgh is, founder of BLM. She was actually sentenced to 58 years in prison for owning assault weapons and explosives. It was pardoned by Bill Clinton. And I would just like some answers as to why Apple can't provide our kids with a proper education and why this place is racist. Thank you for your time.
Final speaker, double check, it is the final speaker, Dylan Ledesma. Right over there, the podium microphone is yours to use. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Dylan Ledesma. I go to Paladin Middle School, and recently my little brother has been struggling because of schoolwork, and he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know the letters of the computer, or he doesn't know how to use it. And they're not just teaching him, they're just showing him and then just giving him the work and letting him free. My little sister has also been struggling, which she was a straight A student and I was a straight C's. That doesn't work for us or anyone. They show up at school 5 days a week, all day, which will help more and prevent less suicide, depression, and etc. We don't want the same thing to happen in Las Vegas here, because then that will take less of the school district. Most teachers have got COVID, but then they retreat from it, and they just got better. I see most of my teachers go out in the public with mask under their nose, and when asking them to go to school, they act like they're scared to it. They're not. They just genuinely aren't. Some teachers are actually putting the efforts to do it and help, but others aren't. That's all I have to say.
I want to thank all the speakers that we had this evening, and obviously we have many viewpoints on so many subjects, particularly there's some that are quite timely as well. But thank you for the time that you put in to be here this evening and share with us. Okay, we're going to move on with our agenda. Our next item will be our student board member, and that's Ms. Hartman, Jackson Hartman, our student board representative.
Thank you. Good evening, President Freeman, members of the board, Superintendent Sasser, and executive cabinet members. I'm here once again, very excited to be here to share recent happenings at all of our high schools in PYLUSD school district. So starting off at Buena Vista Virtual Academy, kindergarten through 6th grade students kicked off their march with Read Across the America. This has included dress-up days in their Zoom classes, and later this month, students and teachers are all going to get out of their seats and exercise during the week-long week-a-thon. At El Camino High School, the Raptors have been thrilled to honor 5 of their staff members this year for impressive longevity in PYLUSD, including Marquise Hawley, a teacher of 35 years, Helen Diabatis, a teacher of 30 years, Mario Gallegos, plant coordinator of 25 years, Christine Bonner and Jennifer DiCarlo, both of 20 years. Additionally, they have included their partnership with Optimist International, where the Raptors will launch an after-school program on March 17th, centered on helping students plan for their future. All of the students that participate will earn credit and draft exit plans for life after their high school graduation. At El Dorado, they have participated in Black History Month, where they celebrated with an interview with the 1990 El Dorado High School alum and Bellarmine College prep social science teacher, Jerome Fashion. Jerome's insightful commentary on his Hawk Talks video production skills really highlighted and celebrated this month for the entire Golden Hawk student, staff, and parent community. Moving on, at Esperanza High School, Esperanza's Medical Science Academy, along with the Health Occupation Students America Club, recently made and delivered cards and goodie bags for local essential medical workers. This effort was made possible by a school-wide coin drop that gathered over $300 in donations. Additionally, Esperanza recently began their annual Clash Classes competition, and so far the school has hosted multiple minute-to-minute class competitions and are looking forward to a decoration challenge, a teacher Mario Kart tournament, and a class rap battle. At Parkview School, Parkview will be extending their STEM classes to offer a spring session after a very successful winter period, including over 100 student participants. Starting April 5th, the Panthers will begin to explore STEM, continue to advance their coding skills, and learn website development. At Valencia High School, I'd like to say a congratulations to Senior Ricky Lopez on his nomination for the Orange County Artist of the Year program through the Orange County Register. He was nominated for video, directing, and editing, and he is now a semi-finalist in the competition. Additionally, the Valencia Site Club started the construction of a new garden at the south end of campus and is planning a grand opening on March 17th. The students, under the direction of teacher Rebecca Bonet, have received additional funding for the project from various grants, and they're extremely excited to implement and sustain the costs in years to come. Also, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to Valencia's mock trial and academic decathlon team, which both placed incredibly well in Orange County competitions. Finally, at Airborne High School, YLHS just finished their first ever virtual assembly and plan to have another in May due to its great success. For St. Patrick's Day, your Belinda will celebrate by decorating all their teachers' doors, handing out gold coins, and having a green Hydro Flask giveaway for students. Then, over the week of March 22nd to 26th, the Mustangs will host their Spring Fest with flower pot decorating, egg hunts, and spring decor all over campus. And now that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johnson. As always, a very well-written report as well as what we do presented here. And it's always, as I've said before, I'm sure, it's always a great resource, so thank you. I keep this with me and refer to it because it has things that happen or things that are coming up too. Thank you. I usually ask you a question, and I'm going to pose one. We have 27 districts here in the county, and of course the department that has some classes too, but looking at our district, what do you wish everyone in the community knew about our schools in our district?
Yeah, I definitely think PYLUSD is really special. I also think that we're generally really well represented in the community. But two specific areas I'd like to touch on would definitely be the wide variety of programs that we have. I think especially with the specialization of programs at all of our high school for different areas and kids being able to choose what area they might like to go in to benefit their future. I think that's a great aspect of our district. And secondly, the dedication of all our staff, between teachers, admin, and other workers. I really think that all of our employees are very dedicated to kids and their education.
Thank you. It's nice to hear a perspective that is from the student. We have perspectives that we have heard, and all of this helps us feel like we have a better picture. And appreciate your comments this evening, and again, your report. Thank you. And again, as we go forward in the agenda, remember, if there's anything you also want to make comment to, make sure you get my attention. Okay, thank you. All right, our superintendent. Podium, please. Dr. Elsasser.
Thank you, President Freeman and the Board of Trustees. I want to start by thanking all of the individuals who attended tonight's meeting to share their varying experiences with our trustees and district staff. Please know we recognize our community's desire for instructional models that would allow for all students to return to an increased on-campus learning environment if they choose. It is important to note that the district's current hybrid learning continues to adhere to guidance issued from the California Department of Public Health, as well as Orange County Health Care Agency. This includes physical distancing requirements, which simply do not allow for full classrooms on PYLUSD campuses at this time. With that being said, the district is actively exploring the expansion of in-person instructional models for students this spring as state and local officials provide updated guidance for schools, vaccines become more widely available, and COVID-19 transmission continues to decline within the county. So as always, the district will communicate directly with our students, employees, families, and community as more information becomes available regarding any changes to our current hybrid instructional models. And now I'd like to talk just a little bit about our Employee of the Year program. Here in Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, we take great pride in honoring the amazing contributions of our people through our annual You Are the Advantage Employee of the Year program. Each and every year, the district sets aside time to recognize 3 teachers, 3 classified employees, and 3 managers as part of this cherished tradition. This process begins in the fall when we give all of our employees the opportunity to nominate their colleagues or supervisors for consideration. Nominators must detail the outstanding contributions that their nominees provide to the district to go above and beyond. The employees must demonstrate the highest level of commitment to our district's core values of excellence, collaboration, integrity, and innovation. Once these individuals are identified, PYLUSD leaders managers then surprise each of the employees at their school sites or departments on prize patrol. Here is a video recap of our exciting day sharing the special news with our 9 employees of the year. This video was captured and produced by El Dorado High School's Digital Media Arts Academy under the direction of teacher Mark Schweitzer. Gina is an outstanding leader who truly has her finger on the pulse of her students, staff, community, and the district. In times of crisis, she exhibits her strong critical thinking and problem-solving skills that bring a sense of calm and care to all. So, Gina, on behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to congratulate you on being named our Manager of the Year. I wish I could help you. I know. We are here because your teacher is the Central Yorba Unified School District Teacher of the Year. Assisted with lesson plans, she is always there for her colleagues. She is a consummate professional in every sense, and her dedication to the profession is immeasurable. On behalf of the Board of Education, I want to say congratulations for this well-deserved recognition. PYLUSD Teacher of the Year. We are here because you have been named the PYLUSD 2021 Classified Employee of the Year. Victor is the backbone of Sierra Vista. He does everything with a smile on his face and so much more. He is a helping hand to any staff member or student who is in need. On behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to congratulate you again on being the 2021 PYLUSD Classified Employee of the Year. Allison dives into every role she serves on the campus wholeheartedly and has the respect and trust of the staff. During the pandemic, she has really struggled to come to terms with not being able to connect with students in the way that she does so masterfully. She is not satisfied with anything less than excellence and pours herself into her craft until it is perfected. So congratulations on behalf of the Board of Education on being named the 2021 Central Yorba Unified School District Teacher of the Year. Thank you so much. For you, we have a few other things for you. So
well, good morning, boys and girls, and Westboro staff. It is so nice to be with you today. And the reason we are here today is for me to announce to all of you that Miss Kennedy has been named Central Yorba Unified School District Classified Staff Member of the Year for 2021. And is hands down the most supportive classified staff member on campus. So, and on behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to congratulate you on being the 2021 Classified Employee of the Year.
I'm good. How are you?
We are here today because you are the 2021 PYLUSD Manager of the Year. So congratulations. She communicates professionally, develops strong relationships and rapport, and serves as a model for other employees in our district to follow. Tanya is not only known for her dedication to students, but also her energetic personality, which makes working with her enjoyable and fun. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to again congratulate you for being the 2021 PYLUSD Manager.
All right. Thank you so much.
We're here today with some very exciting news. You have been named the Central Yorba Unified School District 2021 Classified Employee of the Year. Jeanette is a role model, and I am proud to
serve with in Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. She is deserving of recognition for her quiet yet monumental contributions to the department as well as the district on a daily basis. So I would like to say one more time, Jeanette, congratulations. It's my pleasure and honor to announce our 2021 PYLUSD Manager of the Year, Jeremy Pop. He responds to emails in the middle of the night and jumps to the aid of teachers who have lost internet access. Because of his efforts, students have Chromebooks and hotspots they desperately needed for learning, and teachers have the tools they desperately needed to transition to remote and then to hybrid instruction. Congratulations to you on behalf of the Board of Education for being named the 2021 Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District Manager of the Year. Congratulations. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see all of you. This is an exciting day here at Valdez. I'm here to notify all of you that Ms. Leslie Foley has been named the 2021 Placentia Yorba Linda School District Teacher of the Year. Leslie is the bedrock of everything we do at Valdez. Without her, Valdez is just four walls that have people in it. Her leadership approach has transformed our four walls into a mecca of learning, inspiration, and productivity. If the physical suite is the body, Leslie is the heart of the NSA. So Leslie, again, on behalf of the Board of Education, congratulations on being named 2021 Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District Teacher of the Year. So, as you can see, our district takes great pride in recognizing our employees as they work together to support our students, families, school, and organization. In a typical year, we would invite each of our employees of the year to a small ceremony held during the March board meeting. However, due to physical distancing requirements and in the best interest of safety, we had to forego hosting the ceremony this year with the hope that we may resume this tradition next March. Instead, each of our recipients received an award plaque from the district along with a $500 gift card from Schools First Federal Credit Union that day. We are appreciative of Schools First continued support of our employees in the school district. So in closing, we'd like to thank all of our Employee of the Year nominees for the work they do every day to prepare each and every PYLUSD student for success now and in the future. They truly are the advantage. And that concludes my report.
We'll continue on, and as I do so, I notice that our Assistant Superintendent of Education Services, Dr. Adamson, is there at the podium now to talk about some statistical information and so forth, some data to present to us.
Thank you so much.
We should have
President Freeman, members of the board, Dr. Alsasser, and executive cabinet members, it is my pleasure to present Placentia Yorba Linda's story with you this evening. It is a story that brings into account results versus impact, and that highlights our students' current performance with a specific focus on student grades by student group. Recent research in educational trends show that failing grades are on the rise across the country. This increase has been attributed to the unprecedented challenges that students are facing as a result of adapting to hybrid and remote learning. For PYLUSD, an in-depth analysis of our students' achievement has resulted in a more focused and targeted look at our current instructional practices and interventions as a means of providing both academic and social emotional supports for all students. For the purposes of today's presentation, we will focus on 6 of our significant student groups: students with disabilities, homeless students, English learners, foster youth, Hispanic students, and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. The percentage for each student group have been included as a means to provide context regarding the makeup of our overall population.
We will compare grades over the past 3 years by student group for students in grades 3 through 12. While our immediate focus remains on student achievement during hybrid learning, it's important for us to provide context. The data on how each student group fared in previous years is an important part of the story, allowing us to identify trends and strategies to provide a framework of support for students to achieve academic success during hybrid learning. We'll begin with a review of our elementary achievement scores, which our Administrator of Elementary Education, Mrs. Tammy Bezert, will review with you next.
At the elementary level, students have not completed the second trimester. Therefore, we have compared the first trimester grades for the past 3 years. First, let's look at all elementary students in grades 3 through 6. Overall, you can see that there was a 5% increase in F grades received as compared to the last 2 years. Now let's look at the data for our individual student groups. First, we look at students with disabilities. Here, we see an increase of 4% in the number of F grades received. The next student group is our foster youth. This group actually received 0 F grades in the first trimester of this school year, which is a 6% decrease from the year before. And now our homeless students. With this group, we see a fairly significant increase in the percentage of Fs received in trimester 1 as compared to the last couple of years. Now let's look at our English learners. We see a similar trend with our English learner group, with F grades increasing by 13%. Next is our socioeconomically disadvantaged student group. And once again, we see the percentage of F grades trending upward with an increase of 7%. Next, let's look at our Hispanic group that comprises 43.7% of our student population. This group shows a similar uptick with an 8% increase in F grades. Now let's summarize the elementary results. After reviewing the data from the first trimester of the 2021 school year, the student groups with the largest increase in F grades were our homeless students with a 15% increase, and our EL students, or English learners, with a 13% increase. Our Hispanic students had the third largest increase with 8%, followed closely by our socioeconomically disadvantaged students with 7%. It should be noted that trimester 2 grades go home for our elementary students March 19th, which will give us a second data set for this year, thus enabling us to better compare the grades and give us a clearer picture. Dr. Johnson, Executive Director of K-12 Instruction and Curriculum, will now provide an overview of how achievement scores look at the secondary levels.
Similar to the elementary, the secondary schools have 3 years of data to review for comparison. This comparison is presented by student group. But as a point of reference, we'll look at all students first. As you see, in the most recent school year, there was an uptick of about 3% in the percentage of Fs for all students. This is grades 6 through 12. The first student group in our comparison is students with disabilities. Comparing the first semester grades from 2018-19 through 2020-21, we see a slight uptick in the percentage of failing grades, 2%. The next group is foster youth. The foster youth runs counter to all other student groups, similar to elementary, and that the number of Fs for the first semester was actually significantly lower than the last 2 years, with a drop of 11%. Next, we have homeless students. Homeless students saw an increase in the percentage of Fs by 4%. English learners were the next group. They also experienced a small increase over the last 3 years with an increase of 5% to a total of 18% Fs. Next are Hispanic. This group experienced a 5% increase in 2020-21 over the last 2 years. And then the last student group for comparison is our largest student group, socioeconomically disadvantaged. While holding static for 2018-19 and 2019-20 school years at 8%, the percentage of S increased by 4% to 12% overall in the first semester. Unlike elementary, we did have first quarter and first semester grades to compare. So early on in the school year, teachers and site principals raised concerns about an increase in F grades. As a result, the district began running data and began discussions about strategies to mitigate the percentages of S by the first semester. Though the percentage of S has increased over prior years, the amount of increase has been mitigated by these efforts, as indicated in this comparison. So in orange, you see the quarter grades, first quarter grades, and in green, you see the first semester grades.
But academics tell only part of the story. The pressures and challenges that families are experiencing this year have increased exponentially. Students have had to adapt to a new way of learning, making engagement and participation an ongoing challenge. They have also had to contend with additional responsibilities at home, adding to increased stress and pressure, which directly impacts their social and emotional wellness. The repair of the emotional and psychological toll this past year has taken on our students remains a high priority. Therefore, as we seek ways to support student needs in all areas. The good news, the Centre Yorba Linda has a proven track record in success when it comes to closing achievement gaps amongst our significant student groups and populations. We were in fact highlighted for doing just this in the results of a recent study, Positive Outliers, Districts Beating the Odds. The study was released in 2019 by the Learning Policy Institute out of Stanford University, headed up by Linda Darling-Hammond. Results actually ranked Centre Yorba Linda as 32 out of 167 California school districts, not only for our success in closing the achievement gap in state score results amongst Hispanic students, but for our success in graduation rates amongst all students of color. So it is to this past success that we turn in charting our new path. This is the part of the story that demands a call for action. We will look next at 6 of the higher impact strategies we are implementing as a means of addressing the needs of all students in all areas. We continue to maximize our wellness resources, including Care Solace, Outreach Concern, and our PYL wellness team, all as a means of providing mental health and social emotional support for both students and families. Several sites have rallied their resources in order to implement school-based intervention programs as a means of providing targeted support for our most vulnerable and struggling students, which includes additional face-to-face small group instructional support. Support for our English learners includes targeted instruction from a credentialed designated English language development or ELD teacher, and specific ELD materials as a means of promoting academic language proficiency in a variety of mediums. High schoolers in need of credit recovery may select from several options, including 7th period and night school. And in early January, we encouraged all Centre Yorba Linda teachers to re-examine their grading practices. While several strategies were suggested, the practice that we believe had the biggest impact was one that we referred to as the scaling of grades, which essentially raises the floor of an F grade to 50%, thereby greatly impacting the final calculation of the overall grade. Essentially, this approach brings about a shift in mindset that we believe generates hope for students, making them more likely to complete missing assignments and therefore more likely to learn the content. We were pleased to see many of our teachers implement this approach, resulting in a significant reduction in failing grades among secondary students from quarter 1 to semester 1. Paper online tutoring services has been available all year to students in grades 6 through 12, providing 24/7 access to live one-on-one tutors. Pending board approval, we are thrilled to make this service available to students in grades 3 through 5 beginning this week. Finally, summer school planning is underway as we look to offer a variety of summer school programs to provide support for identified students in completing any unfinished learning. We know, however, that even the most intensive intervention, not even the most intensive intervention, can replace first-based instruction. Our final call to action, therefore, speaks to the need to increase in-person attendance and teacher-led instruction for all students. At the elementary level, we are actively exploring the option of eliminating independent asynchronous learning by extending the day, bringing AM and PM cohorts together, and increasing the hours for in-person learning to 5 full days per week. At the secondary level, we propose combining cohort groups and increasing the days for in-person learning from 2 to 4 days a week. While we know these steps could definitely directly impact student success, we also know that they involve detailed planning and collaborative discussion, as well as negotiations and specific attention to student and staff safety. We will be exploring these options with district staff and our teacher association in the coming weeks to determine how we can move closer to this goal this school year. To quote former Superintendent Diane Ravitch, our students have endured a year that has no parallel in modern times. Our task, therefore, is an important one: to equip our students with as many tools as we can to nurture their resilience and help them adapt to a post-pandemic world. We thank you for your support and partnership as we unite to achieve this common goal, because together we know we truly can accomplish anything. And now, please let us know if you have any questions. Okay, questions from any of our board members on this comment? Anything that you wish to go into this time?
I have a question. Yes. I was curious if you've looked into why the foster youth is kind of that anomaly that we would expect that it would follow the same trend.
I think that there are a couple of reasons for that, possibly, but I think what I would like to do to be very accurate in that answer, Trustee Buck, would be to maybe get more information for that to follow up. We definitely have, as I said, we have been providing that additional intervention specifically for some of our student groups, and that could very well be part of that. With our elementary schools, some of those intervention programs that they had that increased the instruction on school site could very well be attributed to that as well. And so we could definitely get some more information on that and follow up.
It's very interesting. If we could learn something for that, for the other groups, that would be fantastic. I did just have one other note, and just as we were going through it, and luckily we got the opportunity to see this a little bit earlier, so I got a chance to dive a little bit deeper, look at it longer. I found it to be very interesting as you go back in some of these, as you look at, we were focusing on what the F grades, but as you look at a lot of the other end, there's some growth to that A area. So as we've talked to parents and seen, there's that bell curve. Some are doing well, some are doing poorly. And so there's more to learn. And so I hope that we can take this and really utilize it as we build into what we're going to be doing over the summer and next year as we're trying to close that gap that we know is going to be a challenge. But I just thought that was really interesting, even as you go back 2 years and look at it, just the results of that. So just wanted to point it out.
Thank you for that.
I have a question in looking at this. Is there any variable involved with the numbers of students that we're looking at for this year's information that are in the homeless category? In other words, pandemic has taken a toll in ever so many ways. Have those numbers grown that we are looking at the results here for this school year as compared to the others that we're looking for prior years? Is there any significant difference in the numbers in that category?
That's a really great question as well. And again, I think I would want to go back to get the accurate numbers for those. But from what I do understand is that we've actually had maybe a slight reduction in the numbers, and I think part of that is part of the identification process. Okay. And given the fact that we have moved to more of an online process for our parents to enroll, and we really rely on them to identify themselves, whether they are making an intro. And so from what I understand from John Matson, who is our coordinator in that area, that we did see a slight reduction in our numbers this year as a result of that.
So many things you want to dig into, but that's more information as it becomes available as you take deeper dives and so forth, and we learn more about why some of these things are as they are shown. Some of it is logic, but some of it is yet to be determined, it would seem, in some ways. So thank you very much.
Were there, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for the in-depth information and addressing some of the learning loss and the plans that we have. And I just wondered if you could give us a little bit more idea, a picture of what you see summer school to happen this year, this summer.
Absolutely. So it is still very much in the early stages, and so I don't want to go into too much detail as far as that goes, just because it does involve, hiring and, even cost-wise as to, what our rates will be for our teachers and our classified staff this year. But we definitely are wanting to provide an option for, all students, it would be, something that we free of cost, and, for, in particular, our eligible students, those who are struggling most. And so we are looking at, developing criteria at the elementary level that would really, allow us to be able to meet the needs of our students who are most at risk. And so that would, we're looking at approximately 4 to 5 weeks as far as the summer program goes, up to 4 days a week during that time period. But as I said, that it's still very much in the planning process. We do hope to be able to make something available in the next 3 to 4 weeks. That we obviously have to hire for that as well, and so we would have to post for our staff to be able to apply for that. But in addition to that, just more specific information to be able to make available to our community. And then at the high school level, we'll all K-12, we continue with our ESL, which is our special ed program that we offer, and that's something that we've been able to offer every year. And then as far as credit recovery for some of the high school options, access remains an offering through the Orange County Department of Education. But again, we hope to have the entire package of all of the detailed information available in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Did I, one more follow-up. You said that we're getting closer to our next quarter. I know that, we're waiting for high school, so we get a larger picture, but because we're getting that next picture of elementary, would you be able to bring just that back maybe and show us what it looks like going into the next term?
Absolutely.
The next quarter as well?
I'm so glad you asked that, because we were intending on that, because I think that the end of the second trimester is coming up. Well, it is, we've already reached it, and so we're hoping that maybe the next week or two, so the next board meeting, we absolutely have that information.
That would be wonderful.
And we will come back as well, 2 of those questions that were already presented.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this. I know we all do, and we'll see more in our next meeting. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Addison. All right, that does bring us to the consent calendar. The items 1 through 40 are deemed to be routine in nature. These are items that we've all had the opportunity to prepare with background information. We can ask our questions as staff if there's something we need clarity or more information on. So we come prepared this evening to vote on these as a block. However, if a board member wishes to pull an item and handle it separately, we can do that as well. So is anyone wishing to hold an item from our agenda, or shall we be blocking or voting as a block as we see it? Nobody's raising hands. Okay. Then with that, I will take a motion for the consent calendar.
President Freeman, I'd like to approve the certificated human resource report.
Do I have a second? I have a motion from Mr. Youngblood and a second from Mrs. Glaze. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion has passed unanimously, including our student board member, Mr. Hartman. Okay, our first one is general functions, and with that, before we have some comments, I'll take a motion. I'm sorry, is that what you really do?
No, I was just wondering if we could take over 5 minutes.
Sure. We've had actually a long meeting compared, so we will declare a 5-minute break. We'll be back, assuming that's accurate, let's say 9:25, okay? Everyone, let's just take a little bit of stretch time and separate.